What is up, guys? It's your boy Rick Kakis, and today we are going to be showcasing the brand new Warlock Exotic just added to Destiny 2 with the launch of Season of Plunder, the Fallen Star Exotic helmet. And so, let's get started. But really quick, guys, if you're in the market for a new PC, check out Apex Gaming PCs. They made my monster PC I use for everything. It's been flawless. Simply click the link in the description down below and use code KAKISHD to save up to $250. Alright, now, as for this brand new exotic, of course you're going to acquire it through solo lost sectors, which, just like I said, for the Hunter exotic, by the way, check out that video if you haven't, it's actually pretty easy this season thanks to the abundance of special weapon anti-champion mods. Anti-barrier sniper in particular makes this a lot easier, but once you do acquire this helmet, what does it do? Well, the armor perk is Ionic Conductor. Ionic Traces you create move faster and grant you additional ability energy. Nearby allies also gain ability energy when you collect an Ionic Trace. So, Arc Warlocks have had access to Ionic Traces for a while now, but with the release of Arc 3.0, they're now available for every single class out there. Essentially, if you can do certain things to trigger them, and we're going to be talking about a lot of those things when we go over the build I put together for this exotic, you have this thing move along the ground towards you. It will have a degree of tracking, and when it hits you, you gain ability energy. It's kind of like the precursors to Elemental Wells, but they always have the Seeking Wells mod active. So, let's take a look at what Ionic Traces do before and after putting this helmet on. So, at a base level without the helmet on, you can see I throw a grenade, I create an Ionic Trace, it goes, it hits me, and it gives me a decent chunk of grenade energy. In fact, funny enough, I have Seeking Wells on and I make a well from that, so a well comes in right after, also hits me, and it seems like a pretty similar chunk of ability energy there. So Ionic Traces, wells, very, very comparable. Now I'm going to put on this brand new helmet and do the same thing under the same conditions. So I create that Ionic Trace once again, it goes, it hits me, and as you can see, that chunk is significantly greater. I'm going to put them side by side on screen right now. It nearly seems like it has doubled the amount of ability energy you gain from an Ionic Trace. However, you may be thinking, well, that's great and all, Mr. Kakis, but there's a million things Warlocks can do to get more abilities. How is this any better than the Crown of Tempest's exotic helmet? And that has the armor perk Conduction Times. Arc ability or Jolt final blows increase the recharge rate of your arc abilities and extend the duration of Storm Trance. So, I mean, I could just use this and also get more ability energy. Well, the twist for the Fallen Sunstar and what makes it stand out is that you're also impacting the regeneration of your allies, right? Nearby allies gain ability energy when you get those Ionic Traces. So what does that look like? Well, again, did a test where my teammate also has this helmet. I took mine off just in case, and you can see right here when I'm standing near him and he collects an Ionic Trace, you don't actually see it per se, but my ability will just jump in its energy. And that jump is pretty comparable to what you get for an Ionic Trace without the helmet on, or an Elemental Well, or a kill with Demolitionist. Like, those are all giving you relatively similar chunks of ability energy back. And so that is a pretty important factor, right? If you have a 6-man fire team, you're doing a raid, you have 2 people with this new helmet on, and you're all, fighting in an encounter where you're in close proximity, holy crap, your team is going to be getting so many more abilities than they otherwise would. Whereas most other exotics out there, when they're giving you more ability regen, it's just for yourself. This is sharing it with your team. So let's go over an awesome build that you could utilize with this exotic helmet. Now, first of all, you could use the brand new exotic fusion rifle, the Delicate Tomb. This thing is going to generate Ionic Traces itself, right? So now those are going to be significantly more powerful, and gaining Ionic Traces, which this build I'm going to go over is going to help you do significantly. Also makes the Delicate Tomb more powerful, makes it jolt enemies. This is absolutely a super fun combo I would recommend trying out. However, I think at the end of the day, where this exotic helmet is going to be best is just as a neutral game exotic. Basically, you just go and use the best arc weapons in the game, and I don't exactly think the Delicate Tomb is one of those. Like, would you use this over a Salvage's Salvo or the Forbearance from the Vow of the Disciple raid? I don't exactly think so, right? Because that's going to free up your exotic slot for, I don't know, the Thunderlord, something like that. So it's definitely fun to use, but I think it's mainly going to be effective in lower level content. So, as for the build, I'm using the Stormtrance Super combined with Healing Rift, Chain Lightning, and then Pulse Grenades. Then we've got Electrostatic Mind. This is required if you're using any sort of Ionic Trace build. So darn good. Then we've got Arc Soul, just a great overall general purpose aspect here. Then for the fragments, we've got Spark of Beacons, so you're going to be creating blinding explosions because that's going to work with Electrostatic Mind. Then we've got a Spark of Shock to make your grenades jolt targets, which again is going to spawn traces with Electrostatic Mind. Then we've got Spark of Discharge, that's going to let your arc weapons make traces. And lastly, we have Spark of Magnitude, just to make those grenades more powerful. Remember, we're using a ton of grenades because we're getting so much ability energy back. And with that in mind, taking a look at our weapons, I do have a Judgment Hand Cannon here, just something with Demolitionist to get my abilities back more. And then I've got the Salvage's Salvo, such an amazing weapon here. I am using it with Demolitionist, but you can absolutely use Ambitious Assassin as well, and then Chain Reaction is so darn good. The heavy is really up to you. Put on the most powerful arc heavy you got. Then moving on to the mods here. So for that helmet, I do have Ashes to Assets. We're using so many grenades, so might as well get some super energy for that. Then we've got Bountiful Wells to spawn more wells. Then we've got Seeking Wells. Like, your Ionic Traces are going to be seeking to you. Might as well do the same for your wells. Another good one is Momentum Transfer. Grenade damage reduces your melee cooldown. Then we've got Font of Might as our main payoff here. So our salvo is going to be hitting like an absolute truck. Then after that, Elemental Ordnance, which with Bountiful Wells is going to be making more wells. And then we've actually got another one, again, combo with Bountiful Wells. You're going to be getting like 3 arc elemental wells from every single grenade kill, and that's not hard to do with pulse grenades. And then double bomber is a good idea as well. And the result is just a really good abilities build. Like, you're going to be able to spam your grenades a ton. And again, I talked about how this exotic is great in the neutral game. You are just going to be using your abilities, getting arc kills, all that stuff. It's just going to augment what you want to already be doing. Some exotics want you to go in a very specific direction, but this just says, hey, your general purpose play is just now more powerful, and that is really darn powerful. With all that being said, at the time I'm making this video, resilience on Arc Warlocks is bugged, as you can see. So if you put together this build, you are going to feel weaker than normal. It's not because the build is bad, it's just because the game is bugged. Guys, that is it for the video. Hope you enjoyed and found this informative. If you did, please remember to help me out by simply rating and especially sharing this video. If you guys want to see more Destiny 2 content similar to this, don't be afraid to slap that subscribe button. If you want to get in touch with me and keep up to date with the latest channel activity, the best way is to follow me on Twitter at RickCacus. That is linked in the description down below. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good day.